Members, this is the appointed time. We have a quorum, so I call this meeting to order. This is the panel on Home Affairs, Culture and Sports. Item 1 on the agenda, information paper issued since the last meeting. Two papers, right? One is a memo on the referral of issues by the Social Welfare Panel, Welfare Services Panel, and the other paper is an information paper from the administration on the naming of places for public recreation. Next items for discussion at the next meeting. The next meeting is scheduled for the 3rd of April, 4:30. There is one item, proposed retention of 2 supernumerary directorate posts in the Bureau, and also another item on CAP 344, Building Management Ordinance. If there is no objection, these will be the 2 items for the next meeting. Right, there are in fact 3 items on the agenda for discussion today. The first one is a proposed duty visit to Hangzhou. The Secretariat drafted a paper for circulation before the meeting. You may recall in the beginning of this year at a meeting, members expressed support for a duty visit to different organizations and places when the epidemic subsided, and members gave a lot of suggestions. Very soon the Asian Games will be held in Hangzhou. It's a major sports event in Asia, and Hangzhou has been developing sports as an industry in recent years. They have developed venues and other sports facilities with good result. So we are thinking of organizing a duty visit to Hangzhou to oversee the sports development there. So today, I appeal to members to support this proposal. I welcome views as well. The questionnaire survey will be distributed to members after the meeting, so as to include suitable sports items on the duty visit. We also need to iron out the details. Mr. Kenneth Falk has been very dedicated in following up on this visit, and we will be trying our best to arrange for this visit in in July, preferably when the council is in recess. Any support, any views from members? Anyone? Please switch on the mic. Mr. Kenneth Leung. Thank you, Chairman. I agree that we should conduct a duty visit to Hangzhou. Many young people and many volunteers helped out in major sports events in the mainland before the epidemic. This is very conducive to enhancing our understanding on the country's development and the development of sports. The Asian Games will be held in Hangzhou soon, and also the games in Greater Bay Area will be held as well. I think it will be an invaluable opportunity for us. I think the point is we could be running some of the sports events in the national games soon, so it's a good opportunity for us to learn more from Hangzhou. Mr. Kenneth Falk, I need to declare my interest. I am president of the Hong Kong delegation to the Asian Games in Hangzhou. I strongly support this duty visit to Hangzhou. This is a major sports event. After all, the chief executive supports developing sports as a profession and as an industry, apart from the 3 usual policy objectives of sports development. We need to go on this visit to see for ourselves the sports facilities in Hangzhou. This will be very useful for promoting sports development in Hong Kong in the future. I hope we can set down a date for this visit as quickly as possible. Any other views? Ms. Chen? Well, I understand from the paper that this visit will likely last for 4 days. How do you come by this duration, 4 days? My next point is this. I think we can promote this to a higher level. We should not confine ourselves to just this panel. Like Mr. Kenneth Leung said, it is important for our youths to be able to participate in it, just like the Strive and Rise program organized by the government. Perhaps we can discuss with the Chief Secretary for Administration to incorporate different sectors of the community. Perhaps we can allow candidates of the Strive and Rise program to take part in it as well. When members learn more about the sports development in Hangzhou, we can allow the community to go on this visit as well for the purpose of facilitating exchange, not necessarily just candidates from that program I mentioned. Let me just explain that tentatively we'd like to have a 4-day visit. Hangzhou doesn't seem to be very far, so we considered the traveling time, and that 4 days will allow us to have ample exchange opportunities. But of course, we can work out the nitty-gritty and the duration with the counterpart in Hangzhou. The council will go into recess on the 25th of July, and that's also the timetable for this panel as well. We'd like to go on a visit as soon as the recess begins. What about dovetailing with other government policies, such as the youth policy? Well, we'd like to invite members of this panel to this visit, and we will also consider allowing non-panel members to go on this visit as well. The administration will also be invited. We'll see if there is any representative from the Bureau, that is the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau. We will further discuss with the Hangzhou counterparts on the capacity issue and see if we can allow more participants. Details will be ironed out in due course. I understand that some national sports associations and affiliated organizations will be going there as well. Next, Dr. Johnny Ng. I'm all for a duty visit to Hangzhou. Our panel is concerned not only about sports but culture as well. Hangzhou is one of the places in Zhejiang. Hangdian is a prominent filming location, so it's a cultural spot as well. For this 4-day visit, I wonder if it's possible to visit Hangdian as well. It's just a 1-hour driving journey. It's one of the largest movie studios in the world, and we have several hundred practitioners in the entertainment industry in Hong Kong working there as well. So it should be included in our itinerary. Noted. Any other views? If there are no further comments, first of all, I thank members for supporting this proposed duty visit to Hangzhou. All are supporting views, as I've heard, and non-members will be invited to take part in the visit as well. The relevant policy bureau and the government officials will be invited to come along as well. No objection, right? Timing is tight. We want to go on this visit in July. We only have 3 months to go. Meanwhile, we will keep you informed. So if there is no further comment, we now go to the next item. We invite the administration to come in. That is Youth Participation Initiative. Members, if you want to speak, please press the button. We have with us today, Mr. Clarence Leung, Under Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs. He will walk us through the paper. If you want to speak, please press the button. Under Secretary, when you're ready. Thank you, Chairman members. The Chief Executive announced in the 2022 Policy Address the launch of the Youth Participation Initiatives to engage more young people in public affairs and enhance their interaction and trust with the government. The Youth Development Blueprint just announced also refers to the same initiative. The major measures include expanding the Member Self-Recommendation Scheme for Youth MSSY with the aim of tripling the number of participating advisory committees from around 60 at present to no less than 180 within the current term of government to enhance their function as talent incubators. And two, encouraging young people to take part in community development by designating 2 committees on district affairs and opening up seats for young people to nominate themselves as members to give their views on matters such as district work projects, youth development, and civic education. The pilot member self-recommendation scheme for youth was launched in October 2017 for young people aged between 18 and 35 and committed to serving the opportunity to join the advisory and statutory bodies of the government. And so far, many young members have joined, and in the phase 5 of the MSSY, over 8,200 applications were received. As for the 6th phase of the MSSY, it will be rolled out soon to allow more young people to take part in public affairs. We will increase the number of committees under MSSY, and we'll also make available more seats in committees that are young people's interests. To enhance the sense of belonging and to encourage young people to take part in district affairs, the Home Affairs Department is making preparation to allow those between the age of 16 to 35 to make nominations, to nominate themselves as members of the 2 committees. We have received over 1,100 applications since the launch of the self-nomination scheme in January 2023. Assessment panels have been set up by district officers to consider the applications, and the assessment is expected to complete by the first quarter of 2023, and the 2 committees will be formally established in the second quarter of 2023. I'll be happy to take members' questions.
Thank you. There are 8 members who have requested to speak. They are Mr. Kenneth Leung, Dr. Johnny Ng, Mr. Kenneth Lau, Andrew Lam, Ms. Rebecca Chen, Benson Look, Adrian Ho, and myself. 5 minutes each. Mr. Kenneth Leung, thank you, Chair. I wonder if I have to declare the interest. I am sitting on the vetting board for one of the participating committees in the Youth Self-Recommendation Scheme. Now, the government has been making an effort to canvass youth's views in policy-making process. Now, the 2 district committees under the Youth Participation Initiative announced in the previous policy address. I wonder whether the successful candidates would receive an orientation or training sessions. There are orientation programs for Legislative Council members. I think the youth members should be offered the same so that they are better prepared to put forward their views efficiently. Now, for the Youth Participation Initiative and the 2 district committees, of course, we expect more applications than there are seats. So what about those who have not been selected? Are there any follow-up opportunities for them? I think we can't afford to miss out any one of these voices. We have to keep in touch with them. Under Secretary. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Leung, for your questions. On his first question, concerning the successful youth members of the 2 district committees, whether there would be training for them. The answer is yes. We want the youth members to understand the purview of each of these committees before the work starts, and also we want to allow more time for new members to familiarize themselves with the work of the committees. So the short answer is yes. On the second question, for candidates who are not selected to be members, will we reach out to them further? Well, I agree with the member that it is our goal to canvass youth's views, and we also want young people to understand how the governments work. So for unsuccessful applicants, subject to their consent, we would save their portfolios in our central database. Then different advisory bodies and committees can select candidates from this talent pool. Now we have seen some 500 members appointed to different committees indirectly through this manner. So for young people who have self-nominated themselves but fail to get selected, we encourage them to maintain their interest in the government's policies work. And we hope that they can continue to nominate themselves in future phases of the MSSY. And also there will be a lot of activities conducted under the 2 district committees. District officers from different districts and the HAD will invite these members to participate in their activities. Thank you. Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Chairman. Now, the Youth Participation Initiative under the policy address engage more young people in public affairs and enhance the interaction and trust with the government. I fully support this direction. Now, the MSSY will triple the number of participating advisory committees from 60 to no less than 180. However, these committees are mostly of an advisory nature without actual participation in policy-making process. In order to enhance young people's sense of gain and sense of fulfillment, will the government give the young people more say and more sway in policy-making process so that they can feel that they are the master of society? Now, for the 2 district committees, around 1,100 applications have been received. So how many youth members will be taken on board in the end? And having joined these district committees, will these young people be given more opportunities in the policy-making process? Under Secretary, thank you, Member. So far in the 5 phases of the MSSY, advisory or committees of different natures have been covered. There are many important committees among them. I have participated in some of them, including the District Vice Crime Committee or the Commission on Poverty. These committees are involved in the policy-making process together with the governments in their respective areas. I have kept in touch with members of these committees, or rather youth members, and listened to their feedback. According to them, it really broadened their horizons. in terms of the work of the governments and different committees. And they also considered that they were given a platform to voice their views. So we are very much encouraged by the results. On the level of the two district committees, we think this is a very good opportunity for the young people to contribute to their neighborhood, which they have a strong affiliation with. It would be a great starting point for their career. I'm confident that there will be many young people who, through the participation in these committees, enhance their understanding of how the governments work on a district level and participate even more in the process of the development of society in the future. Mr. Kenneth Lau, thank you. I speak in support of the implementation of the Youth Participation Initiative. There's been insufficient pathways for young people to move upward. Now, by opening up seats for young people to participate in public affairs, it will help their development and it will also provide them with upward mobility. Here, I would like to encourage aspiring young people to join advisory bodies to contribute yourself to Hong Kong and the country. Now, some questions. As at Phase 5, the program has received over 8,200 applications. So for every seat, there would be 63 applicants vying to get it. It shows how enthusiastic young people are to contribute to the country. Now, will the government set some KPI or relax the application threshold to people between the age of 18 and 45 so that more people can serve in the government? And also, whether opportunities would be offered to candidates who fail to be selected to join other committees, since the competition is so fierce. Now, to gauge young people's views, can the government involve young people more in future campaigns? Under Secretary, thank you for your questions. Under the MSSY, that is the Member Self-Recommendation Scheme for Youth, the eligible age is between 18 and 35. For the district committees, however, people as young as 16 can nominate themselves. Young people, even in secondary schools, can participate in district affairs if they are so interested to do so. Of course, we have to work out the working arrangements with the advisory bodies in terms of the eligible age. So that's the first point. People between the age of 16 and 35 can join the two district committees. Now, I think Mr. Kenneth Lau's question is how we can offer more activities for young people to pique their interest in public affairs. Now, under the HYAB, we have the Youth Ambassador Scheme. Young people can apply, and after a rather vigorous selection process, they can become our youth ambassadors. There are a lot of activities for these youth ambassadors. Say, for example, visits would be arranged for these youth ambassadors to corporates in Hong Kong to understand how the business world turn. And also, the youth ambassadors would accompany government officials to Singapore for an exchange visit. I believe this is a very good platform for young people, for public-minded young people to show their wealth. And also, these programs will come with training on skills as well as participation opportunities in public affairs. Mr. Andrew Lam, please speak closer to the mic. I'm pleased to see the results of the program. Several questions. Now, this is a youth participation initiative, but the nature is one of self-recommendation. So who would be the one taking the initiative? Now, the competition is fierce, but it serves the purpose of deepening our talent pool. So we should take on as many as possible. Now, the figure is very impressive, as at the phase 5. But what is the level of involvement of these youth members? Internally, has the government assessed the commitments made by these youth members? Do they have any difficulties attending meetings? Are they active in putting forward their views? And what is the quality of their speech? These factors would be useful in terms of further enhancements of the program.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Lam, for the questions and comments. Let me invite PS Mr. Chan to take your question. Thank you. Through different publicity channels, we reach out to young people to invite them to join the MSSY. Apart from the usual channel and publicity online, we also prepare APIs, publicity materials, and infographics for young people. We also have, for example, publicity video clips for young members of advisory bodies to share the experience and invite their peers to join. Specifically, we also invite young people and young members to share the experience and introduce MSSY to uniform groups and other youth organizations. All in all, we take a multi-pronged publicity strategy. Ms. Chen Hao-Yan, thank you, Chair, about the Youth Participation Initiative. It is worthy of our support because it gives young people more opportunities. In the paper, you mentioned that there are some 60 advisory and statutory bodies of the government. It will be tripled to not less than 180. Now, 8,200 applications were received involving 65 committees in Phase 5 of MSSY, but only 131 seats were offered. Now, doing some math, that means only 2 members per committee are young members. And you call this an incubator, that means, well, when you have some 8,000 applications, competition is really keen and this proportion is low. Will you consider increasing the number of seats for young people instead of just increasing the number of ASBs 3 times from 65 to 180? Because if you do the math, that means just 2 young members per committee. So increase the number of young people sitting on these committees. And also, as the Undersecretary said, you receive some 8,000 applications. You might have missed out some talented youths. So for those who didn't get a seat, how do you make sure that you listen to their views? Because after all, these 8,000 candidates are all committed to serving the community. If you make good use of this talent pool, you can improve district affairs. So for those who fail to get a seat, how do you leverage on their talents? Another point is this. Let's talk about education attainment. We have applicants who are bachelor degree holders, master's and doctoral degree holders. Will you consider listening more diversely to the views of young people, including those with different education background? Apart from just looking at education attainments, will you consider other aspects of their background as well? Under Secretary. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Chan, for the questions. The first question is about the number of places for young members. Under the MSSY, ASBs provide quotas for us. That means we need to consider the work directions and the inclinations of different ASBs as well. Our target is to triple the number of ASBs from 65 to not less than 180. In terms of the number of seats for young members, our target is to have not less than 360. At the same time, we're going to open up about 1/3 of seats of the 2 district committees for young candidates to nominate themselves under the self-nomination scheme. Through these 2 schemes, we seek to encourage more young people to recommend or nominate themselves to join the ASBs of the government. The second question refers to candidates who are not chosen. As I said just now, subject to young candidates' consent, the CVs will be stored in a central talent database, and according to statistics, over 500 direct or indirect appointments have been made. In other words, we make use of the talent database to select the best candidate. And on top of that, we need to tap the pulse of young people, to tap the opinion of young people on public affairs. And that means apart from our usual consultation exercises, we also collaborate with youth organizations to tap their wisdom on education attainment. We need to have regard to the requirement from the different committees. The first and foremost prerequisite is to have a passion for public affairs, and the candidates should also have good analytical power and interpersonal skills. These are qualities we turn to instead of educational background. In fact, 9% of candidates under the MSSY are or were undergraduates when they were appointed. We have a diverse background. Just to supplement 8,200 applications of MSSY in Phase 5, together with some 500 seats being direct or indirect appointed seats and 130 committees with some 7,000 applications from young people. You need to make good use of them. Next, Mr. Benson Look. Thank you, Chair. In 2017, The MSSY was introduced in a pilot scheme, and this term of government we have the Youth Participation Initiative. It's been upgraded, and according to the paper, the number of members actually doubled. So your hard labor bore fruit finally. According to the paper, in 2017, the percentage of youth members was 7.8%. Now, in 2022, it's 15.7%. For this term of government, will KPIs be formulated to increase the percentage of young members on ASBs? That's the first question. Second question, as asked by other members, will training or induction be provided to young appointees? I won't call it orientation or briefing. We need proper training for them. Young members may not know a lot about public finance or public affairs, but they could be part of the constructive force in the development of Hong Kong in the future. Training should be provided to let them better equipped with the knowledge to serve Hong Kong in the future. Second point, according to some young people, they are very keen to join the scheme, but they are concerned that they may not be able to attend meetings because of their schedule. For example, we have the working youth, those who just joined the workforce, and those who are still studying. It may be all right for them to take a day off or two to attend meetings in the beginning, but for more complex schedules and meetings, it may be difficult to take time off their work engagements. Now, for some meetings, they are held after work and school hours at 6:30, for example. I understand civil servants have their own schedule as well, but how do we accommodate young members? Third question, on youth participation initiative. I believe this is definitely more than window dressing. Young members can help facilitate a more useful discussion in the meeting. So we should not only regard them as young members, but also members who can bring in the views of our young people to the committees. So likewise, we should encourage these young members to tap the pulse of the views of their peers and bring their views back to these committees. We need to make sure that they represent the young people as well, so as to help improve governance. Under Secretary. First, on the question of KPI, as you can see in the attachment, the percentage should remain at the present level. There is always more to be decided, but after all, this is not included in the existing KPI. Our target is to attract more young members to join the MSSY. Next, as per the member's suggestion, we are going to provide training for young members joining different committees. Different training materials will be provided. And I think it is important to provide training different committees have different members from different backgrounds. They represent their own sectors. And I think this is also true for young members sitting on these committees. And on the other point, different committees have different modes of operation. They are of different nature, so we should give them autonomy to decide how it should be approached. For some committees, there tend to be more quotas for young people. Next, Mr. Adrian Ho. Thank you, Chair. The government mentioned that MSSY candidates' CVs will be included in the talent database. So my question is, so far, how many MSSY candidates have been directly or indirectly appointed to different committees? And in terms of allowing young people to take part in public affairs and discuss public policies, is there any progress? Does the government know about the performance of these young members of the MSSY, and specifically in what areas do they perform better, so that more places in these specific areas can be included, can be provided for more young people to give play to their potential? I thank Mr. Ho for his question. As I said in my reply to the questions raised by other members, now we know that some 500 advisory and statutory bodies have directly or indirectly appointed candidates of the MSSY to their structure, and we will see whether it is possible to further liaise with the ASBs and see, for example, what are the areas of interest of young people and the areas in which young members work more effectively, and then we'll also find out whether young members are satisfied with the committees they are in and the areas that they work on.
Mr. Kenneth Fogg. Now, many members have spoken on the Youth Participation Initiative. I also support it. This is very important. Now, just a friendly reminder. The two district committees, District Youth Program Committee and the District Civic Education Committee, and also the District Youth Community Building Committee. A youth friend I know has participated in, have applied for a seat in these two committees. I want to know how much resources was spent on conducting this exercise. Now, there are some 1,100 applications received. We have 18 districts and we have some 60 committees. Now, let's say we can interview 3 youth applicants every hour. Then it takes 48 hours to interview all applicants. And sitting on the vetting board would include members from the district offices and the police force and so on. Of course, we want more young people to apply for a seat in these committees, but we have to consider the efficiency of the process. Now, from a young people's point of view, it would be very intimidating for him to meet so many officials, but it would be a very good experience for them. Thank you. The members' views are noted. Mr. Perry Yu. Thank you, Chair. I support further opening up the initiative to allow more young people to put forward their views on public affairs on different platforms. This will enhance their sense of fulfillment and sense of gain. It would be very beneficial to the government's policy-making process because they can take on board more young people's views. Now, the 18 district officers will set up the 2 district committees, which involve youth development and civic education. I think this is very good, but I have some questions about the ratio of youth members. According to the paper, since year 2017, the overall ratio of youth members has almost doubled from 7.8% to almost 15.7%. Still, the ratio is on the low side. Besides ratio, as mentioned by Mr. Benson Look, if the government really has a mind to attract young people to these committees, we have to think about how we can accommodate young people in terms of the meeting arrangements. We have to be flexible and adaptive. I was also involved in different advisory bodies on the district level. Many a times I found the formats of the meeting to be boring and rigid. Or maybe the young people want to join these committees for expanding their network and meeting new people, true. But we also want to enhance the commitments of young people in these committees. Most of these meetings conduct their meeting in early afternoon, say 2 or 3 o'clock. Most studying or working youth will not be able to participate in the meetings. So will the government consider changing the practice? Thank you. Mr. Yu mentioned 2 questions. First, on enhancing the ratio of youth members in these bodies. Well, we do see young people joining advisory bodies via channels other than the MSSY. The government is more willing to appoint youth members to seats in advisory bodies. That is the stance taken by the HKSAR government. It shows the importance the government attaches to young people's views. Now, there will be more and more seats open up for young people to apply. We will open up the 2 district committees for youth members' participation. We want to be as inclusive as we can in terms of recruiting youth members on board. So this is what we will do in this term of the government. On the meeting schedule, I've heard what Mr. Perry Yu and other members said. I believe that the meeting times of the district committees will be very flexible because we want to accommodate the majority of members sitting on these committees. We will convey the opinions to the advisory bodies, but it will be up to the members to find a consensus. Ms. Jovi Chan, thank you. On 12 July last year, at the meeting of the same panel, I suggested reforming the 18 district committees so that young people can be incorporated into the advisory structure. Say, for example, there should be a youth district councils to engage young people in the 18 districts to engage in policy discussion to enhance their sense of involvement. Now we have two district committees, that is the District Youth Community Building Committee and the District Youth Development and Civic Education Committee open up for young people. This is in response to the FTU's suggestion. I welcome that. Now, overall ratio of young people in our advisory structure has been raised to 15.7%. Well, still, there is room for further increase. Now, after opening up as many as 180 participating committees for young people's participation, by how much can we increase this ratio? Now, according to the paper, most applicants under the MSSY are university students or graduates. For bachelor degrees, they account for 48% of the applicants. For master degrees and doctor degrees holder, they are 42%. And 9% are undergraduates. Now, by simple calculation, it tells us only 1% of these young members are secondary school students or postgraduate or sub-degree students. Now, I understand that there are many young people in the vocational training stream. They may be not so. They may not be academic high flyers, but still they are capable. So, can we implement a structure so that youth members from different industries be absorbed into a youth committee? Thank you. Under Secretary. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Chan. On your last question, from our perspective, we want to offer as many opportunities as possible for people to voice their views and at the same time understand how the government works. As I mentioned, the 18 district committees can involve more young people in district affairs. These include district building activities and so on. With the experience in these committees, it would offer them a better chance to get into other advisory bodies in the future. So with more exposure to the government's work and community affairs, it would broaden young people's horizon and encourage them to participate more. In terms of academic achievement, especially for the district committees, we don't have an academic qualification requirement. We accept nomination from anyone between the age of 16 and 35. We want to incorporate background to broaden the voice. Now, can the Undersecretary give us a breakdown by the occupation or by industry? We don't have the figure right now. We will give it to you later. Now it is my turn. First of all, I welcome the Youth Participation Initiative. Now, my personal experience is that I have four fellow youth members on the committee. They have put forward some very constructive views. Burden as other adults. So they were more able perspectives from the general public's perspective. So I have committees for many years. Well, I understand young people may be stressed. They have less burden, but still they would worry how others would judge the views they give. For further encouragement and support for these youth members to help them overcome the challenges committees have different structure, there are different cultures as well. For some committees, they may be very supportive people. For some, there may be invisible pressure for youth members sitting in the meeting. So there are some senior members who are more used to a certain way of conducting the meeting, so they may give pressure to young people as well. I think this may be a thorny issue to handle, but I think the district officers should offer adequate support to these youth members. Some committees would be very youth-friendly. They would brief the young members before they participate in the first meeting. And they would also guide youth members through how they should present their views. And I think this is a good practice. Thank you. I completely agree with Mr. Zhang. From my personal views, from my personal standpoints, I think youth members are very capable. They bring a fresh perspective into the meetings. And since the launch of this scheme, we have been following up on youth members' progress. Directors of bureaus or even the chief executive have met with youth members in person to gauge their views and offer them advice. So some 8,000 applications have been received, but they didn't get a seat in the end. I think we shouldn't simply let these people go. We have to offer them with more help and enhance the knowledge of the government as well. So 11 members have spoken on the paper. I believe all members support the youth participation initiative. I look forward to seeing more young people coming on board. Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Next, item 4. Or rather item 5, the Pop Culture Festival. Will the administration please come in? The administration has prepared a paper, and also there will be a PowerPoint presentation.
好，今日咧就有我哋文體類嘅副局長啦，劉。
We have Mr. Lau, Undersecretary for Culture, Sports, Tourism, Mrs. Kwok, and also from the LCSD, Ms. Eve Tam and Ms. Betty Au. So when you're ready, thank you, Chairman. You'll be using a PowerPoint. This paper briefs members on the work plan of the Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival organized by the LCSD, supported by the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau. The Chief Executive indicated in the 2022 policy address that the government is committed to foster the cultural development of Hong Kong to become the East Meets West Center for International Cultural Center. The Bureau formulates strategies for the overall development of arts, culture, and launch initiatives in different aspects, such as nurturing talents and also upgrading cultural infrastructure. It's very important. Hong Kong pop culture should be promoted to emphasize the blend of cultural elements of the East and West and to bolster Hong Kong's status as a unique cultural hub. The LCSD will co-organize with the industry an annual pop culture festival. There are different activities and programs such as performing arts, thematic exhibitions, film screenings. The focus of this year's pop culture is on the areas of music, film, and television, and iconic personalities, and set the trends in the APAC region from the 1960s to 1990s, the golden age of Hong Kong's pop culture, so as to strengthen Hong Kong people's cultural confidence and allow locals to participate in the process. We'll be working with the Hong Kong Tourism Board and the ETOs to promote Hong Kong's pop culture and to attract overseas tourists. In the long term, we will consult stakeholders and conduct work across bureaus to explore the setting up of the Hong Kong pop culture pavilion in the Hong Kong Heritage Museum. This is a new initiative. An assistant director D2 will be created under the LCSD. It is a permanent post for the purpose of promoting pop culture in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival 2023 will be formally announced. I will now defer to my colleague to give you more details of the arrangements of the Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival. Thank you. I will first go through the broad objectives before I give you more details. We consider pop culture not only as an industry but also a succession of a local culture. This is a unique brand for Hong Kong. It is an integration of cultural elements of the East and West, of the South and the North, old and new, etc. It is a very unique culture, and Hong Kong also exhibits a strong influence in the APEC region. And through pop culture, people know more about Hong Kong. We believe this is an important element in telling good Hong Kong stories. Now, in a moment, my colleague will tell you more about our differences with the traditional programs. We place emphasis on the crossover programs. We want a blend of cultural elements, so we are going to combine pop music, films, with traditional Chinese culture, such as Chinese orchestra, and also Cantonese opera, so on and so forth, to create synergy through crossover collaborations. We can enhance people's understanding of culture and pop culture and to take forward further developments. Through crossover programs, we can bring in new experience for the audience and to allow more choices in the market. We also want to tap the younger audience as well. We already explained some of our programs in the paper. Apart from the Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival, we also have a series of programs to be rolled out throughout the year. I'll defer to the Assistant Director to give you more details. Is it coming through? Please speak into the mic. Is it coming through now? Let me say a few words about the inaugural Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival. As the Deputy Director already explained, we are going to hold this festival in collaboration with practitioners in the industry. We have planned about 20 activities. We have, for example, 6 performing arts festivals, 4 exhibitions, and 4 film screenings. Over 100 organizations and individuals will be taking part in them, and we envisage an audience size of 140,000. As I mentioned, the official opening ceremony will be held on the 22nd, 23rd of April. But we also have some pre-opening activities. We have invited, for example, Ms. Florence Chan, William Chang, and Mr. Wing Sha to act as collaborating partners in this Miss You Much Leslie exhibition. This is the 20th anniversary of the passing away of celebrities like Mr. Leslie Zhang and Ms. Anita Mui, and it's a good opportunity for us to walk through their achievements and to bring in a new perspective of their work. That means we're going to showcase the costumes and their work. This is an exhibition. It will take place before the official opening of the festival. And also in early April, there will be a concert with Mr. Johnny Yim as the director, and it's going to be an unplugged concert called Pop Unplugged. Johnny Yim will be arranging the numbers again so that these songs will be performed unplugged. Instead of using plug-in instruments, an unplugged mode will be adopted when performers pay tribute to Leslie Cheung and Anita Mui, and also these young performers will play classic pop songs composed by Joseph Koo. So this will be a concert where the old meets the young. Now on to official opening. Again, we want to be innovative. In the Grand Theatre of Hong Kong Cultural Centre, we're going to play this film. This is the film called He's a Woman, She's a Man. It's a sequel to the original. But before the film screening, we want to have a live concert. So Chu Chang-hei will be the director of this concert. He will be arranging some famous songs of Leslie Cheung and Anita Mui, and Jin Lee is a singer. She will be giving a live performance of these numbers so that after listening to the concert, the audience can then watch this film again. This is a new experience for the younger generation audience. We will be inviting members to participate in this opening gala. So this is one of the activities to be held, and then on the following day we want to include a wider audience. And as I said, the theme is to encourage crossover, cross-generation collaboration. So we're going to hold this outdoor music and film marathon in Area C of the Piazza of Hong Kong Cultural Centre. There is a grand staircase, and then an outdoor stage will be put up with the Victoria Harbour as a backdrop. And as you can see, we have Ha Xiu Sing, Alan Long, and then we also have some new younger generation singers, Phil Lam, etc. They will be giving performances of their own songs, and these two generations of singers will be jamming together to bring a new experience to the audience. Apart from a marathon concert, there'll be a sing together for 1.5 hours. The theme songs of over 20 films of Leslie Cheung and Anita Mui will be played, and some buskers, including Judas Law and other new singers, will be singing along with the audience. The show will be recorded to be played later on the radio so as to reach out to a wider audience. As I said just now, we also have other activities. Apart from stage performances, we also have outreach activities. For example, we have this Tram-O-Matic. This is a tram tour. Passengers will be able to visit the famous scenes in Sheungwan and Central. These are famous scenes in films. And the tram will reach a stop in Causeway Bay. We're now reaching out to the up-and-coming film directors to go onto the tram and explain or share the experience in filming and music industry. And as I said just now, we'll be collaborating with some stakeholders in various industries. For example, we will work with the Hong Kong Tourism Board, Tourism Commission, and also the ETOs overseas to further promote our activities. In particular, we also collaborate with the Hong Kong Tourism Board so that tickets can be given to inbound travelers to come to our show together. At the same time, we also produce pop culture and pop music programs so that adopting a softer means we can explain the development of pop culture in Hong Kong. We want to give more opportunities to young singers. Young music performers and buskers will be arranged to give live performances in the lobby of the Hong Kong Cultural Center. And there is also an a cappella group called Sense a cappella. They will be collaborating with a wind band so that you have a crossover between a cappella group and a wind band. They will be playing theme songs of films and pop music to give new experience to the audience. The Avenue of Stars will also participate in our activities. Publicity, we will be targeting young people. We will make use of IG and social media platforms. Publicity materials will be tailor-made for young people. Right, Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival is a good deed. The floor is open. We have 10 members or 11 members waiting to speak. Mr. Andrew Lam, Kenneth Leung, Johnny Lo, Adrian Ho, Ma Fong Kwok, Vincent, myself, Liu Pak Leung, Rock Chen, and Mr. Chen Yong. 4 minutes.
Mr. Andrew Lam. Thank you, Chair. From the title of the paper, and while listening to the presentation, I am very emotional. Well, when you talk about 1960s and 1990s pop culture, I'm thrilled. Well, pop has another layer of meaning. So having listened to your presentation, I feel better. I am reassured. I think we are targeting the general public as our audience. Well, the 1960s and the 1990s are the golden age of our pop culture, but it may give very different feelings to different people. So I think in your publicity campaign, you have to think about how to interpret the word pop to the younger audience and the visitors. You may have to go creative to make sure that the pop culture's torch is being carried on. You have to be creative in order to attract people to come in the first place, I mean young people and visitors. So I look forward to seeing the publicity team think out of the box. Now, 1960s and the 1990s were the golden age of our pop culture. Further down the road, I mean, for pop culture festivals in the coming years, we may move to other eras. So how would we select the exhibits, and what themes will we adopt in future exhibitions? Director, Thank you very much for Mr. Andrew Lam's encouragement. Now we are going to start with pop culture in the 1960s and the 1990s, because that's when our biggest stars and our most classic work were come about and produced, and it is very attractive for the local community and visitors as well. Now, when we establish the Pop Culture Museum, we will be able to canvass more exhibits. There will be a lot of copyright issues to overcome, so collaboration will be needed. So for the Pop Culture Museum, we will not be focusing on just a single era. This year, however, is the 20th anniversary of the passing away of Mr. Leslie Cheung. There are lots of iconic cultural brands, say for example, Kung Fu movies in Hong Kong, and there may be crossover opportunities with our intangible assets. So for those thematic exhibitions, we will not be focusing on a single period. Mr. Kenneth Leung. Thank you, Chair. I think this is the right moment to organize this pop culture festival. I know many young friends, even when they are from the Generation Y or Generation Z, they also know songs from our grandfathers' days. There are some Generation Z youngsters who are more familiar with the oldie songs than us. Still, I don't see any interaction with our GBA sister cities. How can we achieve synergy with the Lingnan culture in terms of promoting our culture to the global community? What is the opportunity here? Now, the new bureau also has tourism in his portfolio. So would there be any possible interplay between the three elements? Now, recently I have met some young people who are into busking. They told me the challenges they are facing. Now I see the word busking appearing in the paper. I applaud the administration on that, but I'm worried about the idea of putting these busking artists into the cultural hall for performance. It would defeat the very philosophy of busking. So venue is a problem. Now, if you want to incorporate busking as an element into your arts and culture policy, you will have to think about how to help busking artists to thrive. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Leung. On the issue of collaborating with GBA cities and promoting our culture to the world, well, we have established platforms like the Hong Kong Week, where elements of our pop culture and film were added to our programs. And also the Tourism Board and its overseas offices will help promote our movies and our culture. And also performances will be organized globally. Now we will have the GBA art festival, pop culture elements will be incorporated in the festival, and we will be working together with our partners. And also, we will promote our pop culture programs to ambassadors from Korea and Japan. Deputy Secretary, am I coming through? Please speak up. Yes, thank you for Mr. Leung's views on busking. While many programs organized by the LCSD, including this pop culture festival, are great platforms for performers, including indoor and outdoor performing venues. For young people, including singers and musicians, to show off their skills. So there are lots of opportunities for musicians to perform. Now, we are not trying to put the busking artists in the cultural hall. There are piazzas or plazas outside these LCSD venues, and we will open up these areas for participating artists to perform. Young artists and musicians can showcase their work in these outdoor areas. For street performance, currently there are no legislation prohibiting street performance. However, we have to understand that we are a densely populated city. In dealing with street performance, departments would consider public safety as well as municipal management. Members may receive complaints from the public from time to time as well. But on the premise that public safety is not undermined, the law enforcement agencies will deal with street performers flexibly. We welcome different forms of arts. However, there are considerations to take into account in terms of law enforcement. Dr. Johnny Ng, thank you. The National 14th Five-Year Plan specifies that we have to develop our position as an East meets West cultural exchange hub. I fully support the Pop Culture Festival. Now, the government will take the lead, so how much will be spent on hosting this festival? And the administration expects more than 140,000 audience. So how much will the public coffer gain from this festival? Now, the Culture Festival will collaborate with the Hong Kong Film Week and the Create Hong Kong to see in terms of a synergy and how we would help Hong Kong to shine national platform. Under Secretary, now the budget is to $20 million, including other programs. Now we rely on the box office revenue. However, for publicity effects, the majority of the programs would be free of charge. Of course, there are also tickets programs as well, but we want to build up the ambience, and I think the long-term would be tremendous. In terms of going global, we are currently actively consulates, including inviting pop stars from the international scene to perform in Hong Kong, and also organize programs performed by Hong Kong artists overseas via our overseas offices. Now we want to build up the ambience and create more synergy through the pop culture festivals. Mr. Adrian Ho, thank you. In the 80s and 90s, our pop culture was very popular in the Asia Pacific region. There were also artists creating sales records in the Asian world. Say, for example, the 1993 Jackie Cheung's album. I have just listened to that on the way here. Now, Mr. Jackie Cheung has sold more than 40 million albums. Well, Mr. Alan Tam, with a more Cantonese focus, also sold more than 20 million records. Now, I support reimagining our Canton pop classics in the culture festival. It will encourage pride in our own culture. However, the truth is, other Asian Pacific neighbors are catching up. Say, for example, with the support of the Korean government, K-pop has risen to top different international charts. Now, I think it is very important for the governments to formulate an overall plan as well as give support to the promotion of our culture. So what has the government done in terms of this? Mr. Kenneth Leung also asked questions about collaboration with GBA cities. However, the government didn't mention any possible collaboration with TV stations in the mainland. I wonder whether you can collaborate with mainland TV channels to promote Hong Kong pop culture. I myself am discussing the details of a pop culture show with a mainland TV channel, the details of which will be announced later. It shows that the TV channels in the mainland are willing to collaborate with us to promote Hong Kong pop culture. In the long run, we have to think about how we can sell our culture to the mainland markets as well as the overseas market, whether they are Chinese or not, and also tell good stories of Hong Kong.
多謝主席。
Under Secretary, thank you. Well, I'll invite the Deputy Secretary to tell you more about our commitment to promoting pop culture. And then the director can take the other question. Thank you, Mr. Ho, for your comments. Now, as far as support for the promotion of our culture is concerned, the Bureau doesn't work single-handedly. We take a comprehensive, multi-pronged approach. In supporting the creative industries, we have the Create Smart Initiative and the Film Development Fund. For Create Smart Initiative, or CSI, very soon, we will roll out an initiative. We will support the co-production of variety shows with other production teams in Asia. Through the lingua franca of variety show, we can further showcase Hong Kong's pop culture so as to build the audience in the APAC region and promote the stronger ties with people in the region. We are now discussing with the TV stations on how we can provide a better support for them to collaborate with TV stations in other places to tell a good story of Hong Kong. We would like to roll out the initiative as quickly as possible, and that means by the end of the year, we hope to be able to make announcements in relation to the co-produced programs. Similarly, for films, We'll make use of streaming platforms to develop programs. We'll encourage our own film production crew to tap other markets to showcase their creativity, so as to groom our own talent and to tap overseas film market. This will help foster exchange with other Asian markets and showcase the unique culture of Hong Kong. So I give you some examples on how we take a comprehensive approach in promoting our culture, and we will be reporting to you when progress has been made. Mr. Ma Fung Kwok. In principle, I support the Pop Culture Festival, but this is a rather short paper from the administration, consisting only of 4 pages. It doesn't seem to be proportionate to the large-scale pop culture festival we talk about. For example, the paper doesn't talk about the budget, and I heard from your reply that $20 million have been reserved. Now, for the opening ceremony to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Hong Kong SAR establishment, only a single ceremony cost $20 million. What about the LCSD's budget? Is there any way this budget can support this pop culture festival? The paper is silent on these matters. I find it hard to have a good idea of the scale of this pop culture festival. You talked about going global and promoting our festival to other countries. You may have a lot more to say on these matters, but the paper is silent on them. If you prepare a paper for this panel, you should give us comprehensive information. Otherwise, it's really difficult to ask good questions in these 4 minutes. So that's my comment. If you want to brief us on a proposal in the future, please make sure this is done. Now, about pop culture, we have many performing art troupes. We have the 9 major performance groups. We have the several dozen under ADC, etc. They are also government subsidized. Is it that they have nothing to do with pop culture? Is it that there must be a clear distinction between pop culture and their performances? I'm concerned because we want a combination of elegance and pop so that they complement each other. But the paper is silent on this as well. Under Secretary. This paper doesn't say anything about culture because funding is provided in the allocation exercise. But of course, the department can give you more details. The department can also answer your question on how we make use of the 9 major performing groups in this festival. Thank you, Mr. Ma, for your concern. We highlight the programs in this paper because we're unable to be all-inclusive. We've given you some examples on Chinese music, for example. We want to include more art troupes and artists in our collaboration program. This is the inaugural Pop Culture Festival. The festival was only announced in this year's policy address, and for more major performances, you will see them in the next Pop Culture Festival in 2024. $20 million have been set aside for the Pop Culture Festival. We will also provide more major performances. Paragraph 10 of the paper refers to ticketing and program details, and that in late March, details will be announced for the benefit of the public and the media. We're now in late March. Do you have the details? Or rather, is it early, mid-April? Are you able to tell us details of the activities? We'd like to divulge as much detail as possible, but if we're to go through each and every activity, it will take up a lot of members' time, and we're here to listen to members' views. We just therefore gave a highlight of the activities to be held. This is a new festival. We also encourage members to take part in the festival so that in the process you can give us invaluable input to improve the next festival. Mr. Yeo Pat Leung. Thank you, Chair. I represent the tourism sector. Of course, I strongly support the Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival. I support the government. But then I still have a lot of questions after reading the paper. This is called Pop Culture Festival 2023. That means there will be more festivals in years to come. But the key is to make some noise this year. This is, after all, the first festival. I understand that you might not have a lot of time to prepare. You have a lot of activities, and I agree that the paper hasn't included a lot of details for our benefit. Anyway, despite the short time frame, I'd like to know more about the following. The positioning of the festival is to reinvigorate the pop culture in Hong Kong. So is it about promoting Hong Kong? Is it about promoting the golden days of pop culture in Hong Kong to overseas old audience? Can you tell us what exactly the positioning is? 140,000 audience are expected, and how many among them will be tourists? Now, the paper is silent on this, but you just now explained that there will be collaboration with the travel industry in the sense of dishing out tickets. Have you really approached the industry? Because I, for one, only learn about this now. There should be integrated development of tourism and culture and sports. This is such an important event. This is an inaugural festival. Can you tell us more implementation details so that the tourism sector can join hands with the cultural sector in organizing the Pop Culture Festival so that it is a major event for both sectors? And the Secretary. Well, we don't really have a tight time frame. The idea was first floated in September last year, and then we discussed with the industry on activities to be held. And then in the policy address, this festival was announced. We've done a lot of work. I will invite the Deputy Director to take your question. About the target audience, I think for this year we will be placing focus on the local audience. At the same time, we hope to be able to attract inbound tourists as well. In fact, we've had a number of meetings with the Tourism Commission and the Hong Kong Tourism Board. We briefed them on our ideas, and they brought in their perspective. They told us, for example, how much time is needed for them to publicize these activities to tourists in the neighboring neighboring places, and say in Europe. As for collaboration with the tourism sector, I thank you for your suggestions. We can invite input from the tourism sector so that in the future we can foster stronger collaboration and bring in more tourists. Our thinking at the moment is that perhaps some tickets can be reserved for tourists. As for exactly the percentage of overseas tourists out of the 140,000, we'd like to first acquire experience, and it is difficult at this stage to give you an exact figure on the number of tourists we target. Anyway, I thank the member for your valuable input and your perspective. Mr. Ho also referred to, say, TV production teams. We welcome these ideas and will be happy to further explore these ideas and look for collaboration opportunities. Next, Mr. Rob Chen. A series of publicity and promotional activities will be held, as the paper suggests, and the administration already explained that publicity strategy. My question is whether the administration would consider using the Little Red Book, TikTok, these social media platforms which are popular in the mainland, so as to attract mainland audience. Michelle Yeoh just won the Best Actress Oscar Award, and she also thanked Hong Kong, and she is a good publicity figure. I know from your presentation that a tram tour will be organized, such as the Chongqing Mansion, and then the Goldfish Streets in Theft of the Rainbow. These are all famous classic film movie scenes, say such as the one in Echoes of the Rainbow. Perhaps a tour can be arranged for participants to visit 5 to 6 classic films and movies, and to attract overseas tourists as well.
Thank you, Chair. I will take the second question. Now we want to attract tourists to our famous filming locations. We will work with the tourism board to see how we can achieve that. In the end, it would be up to the travel agencies on how to package these products. We will communicate with the industry on how we can provide better convenience for tourists and travel groups. On how we can promote our festival through mainland media platforms, I would invite my team to answer the question. In terms of publicity in the mainland, the audience in the mainland, especially the GBA cities, are very familiar with our pop culture. Our cross-boundary travel has recently resumed, so it may be still a bit challenging. But maybe by the end of this year, we can have TV channels filming video clips to promote our festival, and also publicity promotion can be put on the Little Red Book. Thank you. A follow-up, I believe this is a must. We can promote our festival on Instagram, but you really have to make use of TikTok and Little Red Book because the festival is imminent. Thank you. We will pursue this front. The festival will span over half a year from April to November, so we will make good use of the mainland popular media platform to promote our festival. Mr. Brave Chen. Thank you, Chen. Thank you, officials. I agree with your direction because it is in line with the Happy Hong Kong and Hello Hong Kong campaign. It is using our edge to support the development of economy and the nation. Now, when you applied for several billion of dollars to repair artifacts, you only gave us very little information. Well, you should have given us more information so that we can learn and give you our views. So same for the festival. Other departments and other bureaus would give us a pile of information, even if they are just applying for $1 million. So I hope you can do better. Now, I am a member of the NPC, and I'm also aware of the terminologies. Now, you said in paragraph 4, attracting mainland and overseas audiences. So I think you should pay attention to how you phrase the word in the Chinese version. So I haven't read through the paper yet. Well, by adhering to our fine traditions and breaking new grounds, we should reimagine our pop culture, and also we have to tell good stories of Hong Kong, as mentioned by the CE on his election platform. We should promote the core values of protecting our country as showcased in Mr. Bruce Lee's films. Or you can see how Hollywood promotes the great American culture and the patriotic values. Now, for Ms. Anita Mui's and her work and so on, we have to think about how we can attract our fellow people in the country and also Chinese overseas. That will be more efficient. So I think you should include these elements. If it has come across your mind, you should have written this on the paper so that we know that this has been on your mind. And also the budgets, you have to give us a rough budget on how much would be spent on the programs. It would help us to enhance your programs to make them even more attractive to the public. Thank you, Chair. Paragraph 10 in the paper also mentioned that we would announce the specifics of different programs in the Pop Culture Festival in due course. Today is just a broader view of the program, so we are not going into specifics, but the members' point has been noted. We will improve the content, enrich the content of our papers in the future. And also on the choice of word, we will be more prudent in choosing the right word. Now, I appreciate member views on how we can enrich our program so that patriotic messages as well as messages to help the public enhance the sense of nationality can be added to our programs. Still, this is the first time we are organizing a pop culture festival. There will be different themes in the future, so when we come to martial arts movies, it will be more convenient for us to include these elements. Just a follow-up, there are some 20 programs mentioned in the paper, so it would be better if you put them on a list, like a program list. Otherwise, we would have a difficult time explaining to our constituents why we are supporting the administration's idea if we don't have the specific of the programs. Thank you, Mr. Brave Chen. We will give members a detailed list on the programs for members' endorsement. Ms. Jovi Chen. Thank you, Chair. I thank the administration. Now, this plan would be announced in late March, but still, you are consulting us. So I understand this is this is not easy for the administration to prepare this paper and come for us for consultation. We want more details, though, so we look forward to more supplements later. The Pop Culture Festival is a timely measure because it aligns with our position as a cultural hub. It will also offer opportunities for performers. It will also attract more young people into the arts industry. Better still, if we can quantify the economic gain, it would be even more attractive, especially the benefits for the tourism industry. Besides implementation, publicity is also key. We have to think about our targeted audience. Now, there was a TV program which is extremely popular. The reason why it is so popular is that it was a collaboration program with mainland TV channels, and it created synergy effects. And also, the targeted audience is the entire Bay Area, the entire 70 million population, rather than just the local people. Now, paragraph 7 in the paper mentioned that an IG account would be created for promoting the festival. I think it is not comprehensive enough. We also have YouTube and Facebook and so on. And I think Twitter would be a very effective platform for promoting the festival. For the mainland audience, we have TikTok, Weibo, and the Little Red Book. It is of equal importance to tell a good China and Hong Kong stories to internally and externally. Now, we should embrace our traditional values and break new grounds. So one way to do that is to collaborate with mainland TV stations. And also, many young people are affected by influencers or KOL. So maybe we can enlist help from KOLs to promote the festival. Well, I think the Macau government is doing much better than us in this regard. After the resumption of travel, the Macau administration had engaged many KOLs to do publicity for them. Now, on the other hand, in Hong Kong, we have a negative press. For example, a cyclist's bicycle was stolen in Hong Kong. So I think we should tell a better stories to the world. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Member, for your views. I understand that there are lots of interest in the programs. Today, we are just looking to present the broad ideas of the programs of the festival to members. We want to keep the details as a surprise and announce them in due course. Ms. Chan mentioned the importance of utilizing various platforms. I think that is exactly what our colleagues will do. We won't just rely on IG. Facebook, Little Red Book, and TikTok, these are also platforms we will utilize. They have their own group of users, and we will also engage key opinion leaders. In preparation of the Hello Hong Kong campaign, the Tourism Board has engaged KOLs from all over the world to help promote Hong Kong. So once the Hello Hong Kong campaign was initiated, the reception was very good. Now, last week, the Film Mart received a lot of participants, and it was due to the efforts made by different parties. Now it is my turn. I will be brief. I support the Pop Culture Festival. It is a very wealthy effort. It is a good thing. Today we are adopting a positive attitude. We want Hong Kong people to have better sense of gains and happiness, and it would be very memorable. Under the leadership of the new bureau, a lot of work has been done. This is a very good collaboration project. Previously, the work would be more scattered. Now we are combining culture, sports, and tourism. We want to make it fun and create chemistry. I think the CSTB has done a good job in coming up with this idea in such a short period of time. And this is just the inaugural year. In the coming years, we can repackage the culture festival and improve the arrangement. We want to combine culture and tourism. Riding on this opportunity, we want to promote the campaign to tourists from Southeast Asian countries and the world, as well as GBA cities. The same idea should be adopted for mega sports events. We want to let audience in the GBA know the existence of mega events in Hong Kong. Now we understand that the LCSD is spearheading this festival, and it is a big job. I hope the LCSD would give more headroom for maneuver for different organizations. We should let them go creative and create new things. It is a must that we pay tribute to Mr. Leslie Zhang and Ms. Anita Mui. Still, we should think about adding new elements as well. We have to think about how we can present the occasion from a different light. I visited a Chinese orchestra performance last week. I was baffled by the innovative elements they have included in their programs. So please think about that. Finally, involving the youth. I think it is worth giving more opportunities to the young singers. They can be asked to sing, to render classic pieces, and on the contrary, older singers can be invited to sing new songs. Thank you.
Very briefly, Chairman, we will improve integration of tourism and culture. Well, we just resumed normal travel arrangements with the mainland. It may not be easy as a start, but our festival will span half a year, and midway we will be able to better combine the capacity of the tourism industry. We can have a closer discussion with the sector, including distributing tickets for tourists. Now, as the director just now mentioned, the theme of this festival is to foster crossovers. We want to incorporate more performance art troupes so that synergy can be created. There may be a crossover between Chinese music and pop music, and crossover of dance and drama with pop culture and pop music. We'd also like to allow more room of collaboration with the performance groups. Mr. Ma Fung Kwok would like to ask another question, so perhaps we will extend the meeting by a few minutes to give Ma Fung Kwok a chance to speak. Not a follow-up question as such. Well, just now a member mentioned the use of a Chinese term. We should refrain from using that particular term And in fact, in paragraph 3, the fourth line in the Chinese version, Hong Kong and China. I think on various occasions I already said that this is wrong. We should not say Hong Kong and China. Instead, we should say the mainland and Hong Kong. Because we are not on a par with China, mainland China. We're not a country. This is not appropriate. Yes, I strongly agree with members' observation. So that wraps up our discussion. I thank the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau. I look forward to more activities. Once again, I thank everyone for coming. Meeting adjourned.